Well, howdy, lovers. Yours truly, Amitabh Elliott, again with a green smoothie. Surprise, surprise. I'm predictable now, and you know that there's a good portion of the time when I make videos, I'm going to be drinking a green smoothie. So there you go. Anyways, this video is about. I wanted to sort of give anybody who's interested an update on my spiritual practice, on my meditation practice. I have finally decided that the majority of my meditation technique is going to be Anapana for the rest of my life. And Anapana is a... hold on, I'm going to put my green smoothie down. Anapana is... I'm just sort of in the shadows here because it's very, very bright out. And it messes up the lighting with too much sun, unless you're indoors. So Anapana is being mindful of the breath, and what you do is you focus on the nostrils, and you just put your attention there, and you just be with the breath, and you just let it come in and out as it does. You don't need to control it in any way. And you just, whenever the thoughts come, you come back to the nostrils and that sensation. You just sense it. You don't judge it hot or cold. You don't, although you will sense that, you don't judge it shallow or deep. You just be with the breath and allow your mind to what'll happen is it'll settle. Your mind will settle. And it may take a while in the beginning when you first start this practice. I think birds are fighting. Look at them go. They're fighting everywhere. Or playing. Maybe they're playing. Hopefully they're playing. And so this practice will help you settle your mind and connect you with the deeper source of being. And this source of being is something that's within all of us, and it's also without all of us. It's on the inside and the outside, and I know I've said in the past, you go within, and that's true. But what I mean is go within yourself, not don't look for answers in other people or circumstances. But truly going within is being with all that is within you and without you, and letting it be as it is without resistance, and just let the rising and falling of phenomena to occur without trying to stop it or being adverse to it, not adverse, having aversion to it or clinging to it in any way. And so if you just have your awareness, and it might be challenging for you, Anapana, if your mind is busy and if you're new to meditation. If it's hard for you to do, I'm going to recommend doing a little bit of my other, Anapana is definitely not my technique. It's what the Buddha used. It's what all Buddhists use, and unfortunately, when meditation is taught in articles and stuff, they don't teach you to focus on the nostrils. They just talk about following the breath or following the belly, but and labeling it in and out or something like that. But when you label, that's a mental discrimination, and it keeps you in the mind. But when you just sense, and just be with whatever's there, you might sense. Pardon me. Woo! You might sense hot and cold. You might sense deep and shallow. You might sense vibration. You might sense any number of things. But you don't need to label it. You just be aware of it, and that really helps the mind settle. It gives you a single point to focus on. And I'm half done listening to this Buddhist Dharma talk. Maybe I'll try to include it in this video as a link down below. And the guy, I can't remember the name of the guy, but an old monk, he says, and this makes total sense to me, is we have 5 holes. The Buddha taught we have 5 holes, and I believe it's the eyes, the nose, the mouth, the ears, and the rectum. Basically, I assume the sexual organs are included both in one, the eliminatory channels. But those 5 holes also, I believe, would be sight, hearing, taste, smell, and touch. So he says, if you want to discover who you are, you have to eliminate the I'm not very good at translating this, or because I've only listened to it once, but I'll probably listen to it a couple of times, honestly. But basically, if you want to know who you are, you want peace, you have to start by experiencing one sense at a time, instead of experiencing many things. And this is the same idea as being single-pointed. You can do it by repeating a mantra. You can do it by the Anapana. So the way he elucidates it is, he says, there's an anthill, and there's a serpent underneath the anthill, and there's a snake in the anthill, and there's 5 holes to the anthill. How could you get the snake out? Because the snake needs to come out to feed. It doesn't have to be an anthill, but that's what he says. He says the way to do it is you cover up 4 holes. And what he's talking about is using only one sense. So using just sensation, or using sight, or using hearing as a meditation object, or touch, or so basically he's just talking about being single-pointed. And if you use only one of your senses instead of all 5, 6 if you count extrasensory perception, if you just use one of them, then what happens is you can really see clearly what's going on with that sense and let it go. Because when you're using all of the senses, it's like overstimulation. And so I'm going to be using Anapana, and the reason I want to get back to the reason why I'm going to be using that primarily as my meditation technique, unless my mind is very, very busy. But even then, I'm still going to try to do it. And the reason is because Anapana is focusing on the nostrils and focusing on the breathing. And the breathing is happening all the time. And therefore, like I've done a lot of mantra meditation in my life. But if there's a conflict or something, if your technique is a mental technique, the mind can only be focused on one thing at a time. And therefore, if there's a conflict, if, like for example, somebody's yelling at you, telling you you did something wrong, and if you didn't do it wrong, or even if you did, there is a propensity to get drawn into that. If somebody's upset, getting drawn into their energy, they're giving off this energy of anger or frustration, and we're all empathic to a lesser or greater extent. I'm very empathic, and I feel viscerally now that which I didn't realize I was becoming emotionally. Like my ex-girlfriend would get frustrated, and I would be getting frustrated, and she'd be like, "Why are you getting frustrated?" It was like I didn't have the right to, but really I was feeling her frustration and becoming her. And so if the meditation technique we use in our sitting meditations is a mental one, then we have to give up, because the mind can only focus on one thing at a time. We have to give up one for the other. And if we get caught by the mind and somebody's yelling at us and we get drawn into that, or through the energy of it, whether it's just the words or holistically you get drawn into it. If we do get drawn into it, you can't think. And then I start thinking angry thoughts. No, F you. You're the one who. It's your fault. Then I'm using my mind. I'm thinking, and I can't be using my meditation mental technique at the same time. So the thing with the breath is that's happening. That can be used while you're thinking. And so if we sit and we meditate with Anapana and focus on our nostrils, gradually the idea is to be doing that all day long. And I listened to a beautiful Buddhist talk by Tara Brach, and she talks about always continually coming home to the breath, or whether you use body awareness, but I really highly recommend trying the breath. The body awareness is a little bit tougher for me, but I do use that too. So choose what you will. But she says continually coming back, and then hopefully, and if you stay with anything, as in life, practice makes perfect. The more you do something, the better you'll get at it. And as a great piano player starts off, when you start to learn how to play piano, it's very difficult. After a while, you get to a certain level of proficiency, and then you can become a master if you stick with it enough. And the same is with this, with your awareness. It's called mindfulness. And if you can be mindful of the sensation in your nostrils, and the tips of your nostrils, if you could be mindful of that, even when somebody attacks you in some way or some type of conflict arises, then you'll have a better chance of not giving more energy to that conflict. And whenever energies come together, you get amplification, and that's when you have a real war, is because you have more than one party participating in the perceived conflict. But if you're angry and you're just yelling at a wall, the wall is not going to get upset. You know what I mean? It's solid. It's not emotional. It's detached. So, you could say it's good to be like a brick wall in some ways. Not that you shouldn't listen to your partner or anything, even if they're upset, but to be in a state of equanimity is a good thing. We all know this, but it's challenging to do, and that's where having a practice is helpful. So while I do have another technique that I use sometimes, I'm going to commit right now to using Anapana for the rest of my life, because I see the real value in it, of bringing meditation into my daily life. And this is where the real peace comes, is when you can bring meditation into your daily life. It's something that happens with meditation anyways, is when you meditate consistently every day, like say twice a day, even once a day, but twice a day is even better. Or if you meditate and then you also do mini meditations throughout your day, like 1 or 2 minutes or 3 minutes of just like say conscious breathing or something like that, or Anapana. When I do conscious breathing, I'll do like a deeper breath, and I'll go and just one breath is really, really helpful. And so there's birds everywhere. So as a side effect, what happens is there's a bleeding over of your meditation, of that peaceful state, which is your original state, your nature. That will bleed over into the rest of your life the more consistent you are with your meditation. And eventually you can just start to become more peaceful all the time. It doesn't mean that you'll never get triggered, but when you do get triggered, then you have it takes less time to come back to your nature, and at least you have a reference point for who you really are. And so you can say, you know what, this angry self right now, this anger I feel, that's not who I am. That's not what I am in my being when I release myself and my thoughts. What I am is peace. I know this because I meditate every day, and I feel that every day. So then I can come back and say, well, I choose peace. So I'm going to release this anger. I'm not going to try to figure it out. I'm not going to try to be right about anything or vindicate myself or be a victim in any way, and say that the other person did me wrong or anything like that. I'm just going to totally let it go, totally release it. And so that's a natural side effect. There's this bleeding over, and then, it's just like, I think Eckhart Tolle is the one who says, it's like if you have a white rag and you have some red dye, and if you dip the rag in it, in the red dye, it'll be, actually I think this is Deepak. You dip the rag in the red dye, you take it out and it's got this slight pink tinge to it. And if you dip it in again, it's a little bit more pink, and you keep dipping it and you keep dipping it and you keep dipping it. Eventually the rag becomes red permanently. And that's what consistent meditation practice does. Is it's like dipping our waking consciousness back into the source of our being, into our true nature. It's like the wave. The oceans can't be turbulent all the time because there's not wind all the time. So it's like being that wave and then coming down into your nature, into the greater ocean, being the wave, greater ocean. And then eventually you realize that even when you're a wave, you're still the ocean. And then you can, unlike the ocean, you can choose not to be a wave anymore. And so, but that's a natural side effect. But Anapana, what it does is, and bringing your meditation into your daily life, what it does is it gives you the choice, because you're practicing all day long, literally all day long. You could be practicing, and then you have a better chance of. So it's like double whammy. You got your meditation in the morning and at night or something, or in the morning and after work or after dinner or before dinner or something, and that will have the bleeding over effect of coloring your rag. And then you also, if you do this focusing here all day long, it will be like continued practice all day long, and you have a greater chance of sustaining that peace while in transition towards a different way of being. Because the old way of being, that way of being that's reactive, that needs to be right, that is blaming, that wants to be a victim and wants to be, oh poor me, and that old self that gets depressed and angry and self-righteous and just emotionally charged in any way, that is not who we are. And when we can release that all the time, we can have peace all the time. And I'm not saying I'm there. I'm just on my way. And I'm just sharing some wisdom that I've acquired through my journey and through listening to the wisdom of others with you. And hopefully it'll help you. And I love you, and I'm going to end this video now, and thanks for watching or listening or whatever you're doing, and I hope that you will choose a meditation practice and stick with it, because you're worth it, and you will not believe what's possible when you can release thoughts easily and swiftly and consistently. So have a wonderful day. Love you, and I'll talk to you later. Although you didn't talk to me this whole time, but maybe you talked to the screen. I don't know. Bye.